Being an avid surfer and for surfing for most of my life and being a surf instructor teaching thousands of people to surf each summer, one of the questions that comes up is, have you been to Hawaii? And my answer is no. I'm scared of Hawaii. It's an easy place to not go to. There's big waves, there's big locals, it's expensive. Bottom line is I'm scared. So I wanted to talk to my brother about his first trip out there when his company he writes for phones him up and says, we want you to compete in the Triple Crown in Hawaii. I wanted to catch up with Seb and see his thoughts on this. Let's go. It's a late January, mild Monday afternoon, and I'm here with my brother Seb. I wanted to catch up with Seb and talk to him about his trip to Hawaii, because it's not very often British people go out there to compete in Hawaii. If you don't know Seb, he's a professional surfer. He's kind of paved his own career in surfing that suits him, which is quite difficult for anyone who tells you they're a pro surfer to do in this day and age. The industry can be quite fickle at times.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I'm honoured to be your first guest of your podcast.
It's cool, isn't it? Why not start with my bro, family first. Before we get on to Hawaii, Seb, you went out there at the beginning of January. So this is just after Christmas and New Year. We've all been celebrating. We've all probably been drinking too much. Where was you mentally and physically before your Hawaiian trip was announced?
Yeah, man, just like, it's like I hadn't surfed in 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months. It was just cold and bleak, and we had a real bad run of swell, didn't we? It was just real small, like around that time. And to be honest, I didn't really have time for anything like to mentally prepare because it was so last minute. My TM rang me up, my team manager rang me up like 2 weeks before New Year's and was like, are you up for going to Hawaii? And I was like, well, I've never been, like, I haven't got anything ready, it's a bit late notice. And I was almost kind of like hoping he'd be like, yeah, it is too late.
Yeah.
Good shout. Next year. Let's do it next year.
You've got the phone call. We've both been binging. Seb, I was drinking with you. We were having, big night sessions, Christmas, New Year, celebrating. We was in that place. We were all a bit pasty and stuff. You had done a couple of trips prior, but there was no way you weren't carrying boulders underwater.
No.
You weren't training. You weren't swimming. You weren't as fit as a butcher's dog. How was you feeling when you got that call?
Well, just completely off guard, like I really was not expecting to be going away. Like I said, no training, nothing. I've just been living the high life for like 6 weeks before, during and after Christmas. It was just like a surf trip to Hawaii on New Year's Day. It was crazy. And the thing is like, I got the call 2 weeks before and he was like, I'm going to try and get you on it. So it wasn't even for definite. And then, it was like a week and a half later, I was thinking there's no way this is going to happen because it's just not going to happen. So I was just like, I'll let it go then.
Yeah.
And then I think on New Year's Eve, there's like, yeah, it's on.
It's happening.
And the
New Year's Eve, a few drinks down.
Yeah, and the flight was on.
No.
The flight was on the 2nd of January at like 9 in the morning. So I had to leave here, Cornwall, on New Year's Day. Drive all the way through the night. Got to London, like 5 in the morning, I think, and got on the flight. And I was just like, not ready whatsoever.
We all know you're ballsy. We know you got a set of kahunas. We've seen some of the waves you've paddled into around here, that massive session at Gwenver. But the reason I asked you this question is because I got asked to do a photo trip once out to Ireland, and I had Ollie Flatley, is it his name?
Yeah.
Is that
Ollie O'Flaherty? Yeah.
Ollie O'Flaherty was saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to get towed into Riley's," and I was just petrified. A little bit like I hadn't done much surfing, but I was just absolutely terrified. I went out there. I just got out there. I'm like, yeah, no, that's too shallow. I'm going to leave that. So that's why I asked you, because you're going to Hawaii, and if you're going out to Hawaii to compete, if you've never even surfed out there, it must be a daunting feeling going to compete at a location that you can have completely no familiarity with at all.
Yeah, and the waves are so different out there.
Yeah.
To anything around here. They break like twice as fast.
Yeah.
And they're way heavier.
Yeah.
because Hawaii is just like a bunch of rocks in the middle of the Pacific Ocean,
Yeah.
surrounded by real deep water. So like you got all these swells that come from thousands of miles away, and they pick up speed and height, and
Yeah.
then bang, they hit the shelf.
Yeah.
And for example, Pipeline is like probably the heaviest wave in the world, you know, and it just detonates on the North Shore. And it's crazy because we were staying in a house on the North Shore in front of Pipeline, which was mental, like a dream. And there was every 10 minutes the windows would shake. You'd be watching telly and the windows would go, and it's the shock waves from the waves breaking. That's how heavy the waves are.
Wow. I remember you sent me a voice note when you first got to Hawaii. You were sat on the beach watching it. Tell me about that.
I got there, got to Honolulu Airport at about 11 at night, and then we drove to the North Shore, got to the house, and Mikhail was like, "Here's your room. This is where you're staying." Everyone was asleep. The US team were there, and they're all asleep, and I was just walking around like I just couldn't believe I was there. Always dreamt of being at Pipeline, but I just thought I'd never get there, you know, because it's like a mission to get to, and it's expensive. And when I was growing up, if I'd ever make any money, I'd go to Indo, somewhere cheaper,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I was just like walking around. I was like, "This is nuts! I can't believe it." And it was like, by this time, it was like 2 in the morning, and I was just walking up and down the beach in front of Pipeline in the moonlight, just looking around, just completely tripping out. Just like,
Rick Kane did that
I
in
can't believe this.
that movie North Shore, didn't he?
I
He
don't
goes
know.
down. He did. There's a movie called North Shore.
I know North
Rick
Shore, but I
Kane
don't
gets there
remember
and he
that
goes on
scene.
the beach and this Robbie Page, I think he goes, "Hey, it's not going anywhere." And he's gone down. And what you've just described there is that image they've captured, the waves going in the dark, detonating. So when you said that to me, it totally reminded me of that.
Yeah,
So your duty as the Vans rider was to go and compete in the Triple Crown.
yeah,
So the Triple Crown is basically normally it's three competitions at three different locations: Haleiwa, Sunset, and Pipe.
yeah,
And this one was a slightly different format.
yeah,
Who did you meet at the Vans house then? Because it's near the Volcom house, isn't it?
yeah. Mainly people from the US.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was the US team and some people that like worked for the company.
yeah,
And then every day there'd be all sorts of people coming, like
yeah,
journalists and people that work at Stab magazine and other magazines, and it's like people just passing through. The
yeah,
house was like a bit of a sort of, a hub,
yeah,
which was good and bad. It's like
yeah.
cool because it's social, but when the waves are getting big and you're nervous and whatever, and there's a lot of people knocking about, hard to find a little zone. So it's
You mean like getting your own space,
yeah,
somewhere where you can just switch off? And
totally, yeah,
because I know a lot when I was boxing, before a fight, I would feel really agitated when there's loads of people in your face.
fully,
You
yeah,
kind of want that little moment, don't you? Especially
yeah,
when you're putting your life on the line at a place like Pipe that
yeah, exactly, yeah,
takes lives. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
imagine that would have been pretty daunting.
is
Well,
it, yeah,
quickly winding back, we were drinking in the pub, Seb. New Year's Eve, it's like, okay, Hawaii's happening. I blink, I open my eyes, and you're paddling into a wave at Pipeline.
yeah.
Was that your first ever wave at Pipe?
That one where it spat.
The one where it was just a full. Looks like the wind was blowing into a bit. You got on edge,
Yeah,
and yeah, it was like a real fast, steep
yeah,
takeoff,
yeah.
and then it blew at the end.
No, it wasn't my first wave. It was like maybe like my fourth wave, third or fourth wave.
Was it the biggest one you had in that
Yeah,
session? Yeah.
yeah.
What were the waves like before that, and how did you feel surfing Pipe for the first time?
Well, the first session I had, it was just like horrible because there was loads of people out there. All these people doing the Triple Crown,
Yeah,
all these pros, then all these locals, and then all these people that just wanted to be out of Pipe. And it was like, it was, it was about double overhead. It was quite solid. It was quite gnarly on the sets,
yeah,
and sort of on shore. And I hadn't surfed in about 6 weeks. So I was all fat and pasty. And I was just like, I'm gonna stand up and just slip off my board in front of everyone. I was like, I
yeah,
don't even want to be out here. And then a wave came in, and I stood up and sort of moved along it. And I remember this guy Bo telling me, just like, yeah, when you get nervous or stressed out, just stand up and just take it right back to the basics. Just trim along, get a nice little stance, and just flow. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I like watching people surf like that anyway, you know.
Rebuild.
So I was like, why try something silly? I'm just going to cruise. And I did a couple of high lines, and I just cruised along, did a little cut back, and then kicked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, a wave, you know.
Yeah.
And then I went to paddle for another one, and the bottom just dropped out, and I was like, wow, this is like pipeline, you know. That's when I learned how crazy it is. It just like hits a slab, and the wave sort of becomes the reef. It's just all becomes one slab, and I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty full on.
Yeah.
So I got pretty nailed, and then I got out and chilled for the rest of the day, and my skin was starting to get a little bit burnt, and I was slowly climatizing. And then in the evening, it just sort of glassed off a little bit. There was only like 5 people out there, and that's when I went out and got that good one. And it came in, and it's feathered off the second reef, and it just sort of pushed me in. I sort of jumped down it and got a little pocket ride, and it spat, and then I felt real good. I was like, I got it.
Yeah. That one wave, that one feeling of actually making it and feeling like you've got that connection with the wave.
Yeah.
Going back to the competition, typically in a surf competition, you would go out there with another guy and you'd be wearing different coloured rash vests, and you'd have a panel of judges scoring you in an allotted time. The format of this competition was different. It was for the surfer to go out there and submit a clip of their wave to a panel of judges that were scoring different clips under different categories, different boards, different.
I think it was like you had to get 2 waves at each spot. One wave had to be on an alternative craft, so it was like anything but a thruster or a quad setup, and then one wave on a normal standard thruster, you know.
What was that like, competing in that environment?
Well,
being used to competing with just a group of guys.
Yeah, well, that's what's drilled into me, you know. Like, I don't compete anymore, but when I did, when I was very young, I just looked forward to going out and surfing with just like 4 other people in good waves.
Yeah.
So it sort of felt just like free surfing, really.
Yeah.
But with a little bit of added tension and weirdness. It was just strange.
Yeah.
Because you're sort of out there having fun and trying to get used to it, but at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I'm doing a contest. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just weird.
That must have been so weird, surfing a heat with free surfers.
Yeah, yeah.
With that competition, you've got no priority for the waves. There's no priority system, but you've got a camera pointing at you saying, go big, to win this comp and win some money.
Yeah.
No wonder they're scraping people off the reef, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty full on, but it's like, it's how it goes, isn't it? It's like, it's just all for the comp. But it's strange because you come out and there's, you know, the camera people there. There's like 4 or 5 of them. They're like, "Yeah, I got that." And then you get a message, and someone's messaged you saying, "Hey Seb, I got your last wave." And so it's just so strange.
Because then that cameraman would get the publicity from getting you on that wave, or could you only use one cameraman?
No, you use whoever you want.
Oh, really?
And then you go on the Triple Crown website and you submit your wave.
Yeah.
You type in what board you're using and who filmed the wave.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That bit's pretty cool, and you're like typing it all in. You're like, this is all right actually, and it's quite easy, but it is so strange. Like, I can't lie, I would rather a heat.
Yeah.
With 4 people in pumping waves, you know, with a timer and that, and I don't usually like that if it's in somewhere like England, but if it's somewhere like Pipeline, it's pretty cool.
Was you getting up in the morning and just being like, right, let's go find some waves somewhere, or was you like, I'm going to enjoy Hawaii while I'm here, and if we score some good waves, we'll get a photographer for the comp? What was your main motive? Was it out there just to compete and get the wave and win? Was you out there just to sort of chill out and relax?
Yeah.
Or was it a bit of everything? It must have been quite overwhelming for you.
It was the latter, really. It was like, it wasn't about the contest at all.
Yeah.
Like, I was told from my manager, like, you know, try and submit everything from each location, do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will for sure do that.
Yeah.
But it was my first time out there, and it's a dangerous place, you know? And it's like full on in the sea, and it's very intense. And I just thought, I'm not going to let that dominate me. I'm going to sort of enjoy this and get used to it more spiritually. I'm not going to jump into this contest. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
I'll submit the waves, but
Yeah.
I'm not fucking about. You know, I'm going to
Yeah.
chill and find my feet.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
But I'm hungry for next year. I want to go out there next year and
Really?
do the comp properly. Yeah.
Listen, you got to do what you got to do. Now, you was living life out there, bro.
Yeah.
I was looking at your stories. Obviously, I was talking to you a lot, and you told me about that one day. It was the day where you surfed sunset, and you got a big one on the head, and then the leash snapped, and then. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh God, yeah, that was just like it all just. That's where everything seemed to start. You know, like the swell jacked up. We went and surfed sunset, and I found myself way out back with Adrian, and it was like as big as sunset can get, really. Like there were sets that were starting to sort of close out, and Adrian was riding a 9.0 gun. I was riding a 6.6 shortboard. Fuck knows why. I think I saw Ethan Ewing or someone get an insider, and it looked small because he's such a good surfer. He doesn't mind taking waves on the head and picking off those small ones. And I saw him, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take out the 6.6. Cool, no worries." And yeah, I got like a massive one on the head, and just went straight to the beach, just scared, and made it to the beach. I was like, "Thank fuck for that." And then the next day we woke up, and the swell was massive. Pipeline was going crazy, and it was the backdoor shootout.
Yeah.
The Dahui backdoor shootout, and we went and surfed Holly Eva, and then we came and watched it, and it was just like just people just going mental out there, like reckless souls, you know, which was quite cool for me to watch because I thought I was the only one like that, you know, like
Yeah.
growing up around here and surfing certain waves, and people always like call you out like that. It was cool to see these people doing it,
Yeah.
but they were taking it a level above and doing it at, you know, like 20-foot pipeline on
Yeah.
near dry reef, and they were just, I was just watching in disbelief, and they were just like really trying paddling into these waves that were just impossible, and they'd just make the drop and then
Yeah.
bang,
Yeah.
and then they were coming up unconscious,
Yeah.
and the jet skis were coming, and then their wives were running along the beach crying, you know.
Yeah.
But then the guy on the mic's like, "Here we go!" Someone else paddles in, and they
Yeah.
don't matter no more. And someone's had half their face ripped off,
Yeah.
and they're getting resuscitated,
Yeah.
and they've drowned, you know. And then they
Wow.
get taken away in an ambulance, and then here we go again. So like it became like total arena, like
Yeah. Like gladiatorial.
yeah, it was
And
like
these are people that are local there, yeah?
yeah,
Or familiar with the wave, at
these
least,
are
more than you.
professional surfers too, like
You see why I was worried?
yeah,
Because I know if you've got a camera on you and you want to win a comp, you know, it could all kick off.
yeah, but it's like it's past all that. The cameras, though, it was just like people just going for it,
Yeah.
just seeing what they could do. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't even about the cameras anymore.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool,
Yeah.
and it was almost like, well, fuck it, if you die, you die.
Yeah.
And it was like bringing that really old school, like the pioneers of pipeline back,
Yeah.
like that wild side of surfing that you never really see.
And you don't see the dark side. We only get the promotional stuff that's
Yeah.
good for the tourism and in the events, eh?
So that was like, it was cool, but fucking traumatic, really. You
Yeah.
know, like, and you hear horrible stories of people out there that get like stuck in the reef and shit, you know,
Yes.
and they're dead and they get pulled out the next day, and just hearing all this stuff, and I was just like, my head was spinning, and then, you know, you look over and there's like journalists there, like doing interviews and stuff with people, and you're just like, what the fuck? And then your mate's like, come on, we're paddling out in a minute. It's going to finish in half an hour. And it's just like,
no.
whoa. But then part of you is like, I could get the wave of my life here.
Yeah.
So it was total madness. Like,
Yeah.
by the end of that, it ran like that for a few days. And by the end of the few days, I could barely stand up. I'd wake up and just be sat there like nodding off to sleep. I was just so exhausted. Like,
you've got mental
never been
and
so
physical, emotional turmoil. What happened to Billy Kemper? And did you see what happened to him?
Yeah, he someone caught. I remember seeing someone catch a wave, and it was like first reef, like real gnarly, heavy, thick wave, like 6 to 8 foot. And then they fell off, and then Billy Kemper took off straight after him. And I remember thinking, fuck, Billy's going to run over this guy.
Yeah.
But he's a madman, you know? So he's going through, I think he's holding his rail and still getting his line. And I remember thinking, fuck, he's going to hit the guy, but he didn't. He missed the guy. And then the lip broke on Kemper and like kind of flattened him. Like, I think it all happened so quick. I can't really remember, but I think his head sort of became part of the lip and then just smashed against his board or something like that. And I remember Nigel saying that he's got the sequence and he could see that. And then I just remember seeing the other geezer come up fine, and then Billy didn't come up. His arm was like that, and I was just like, he's fucked. He's like dead. And then you just stood there watching, like, what's going to happen? And then the jet skis, the lifeguards are amazing. That's the amazing thing there, is that they're there straight away on the jet skis. So it's like reassuring for everyone.
Are they there when the contest isn't on too?
Yeah, when it's pumping,
Gotcha.
when it's big. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so they took Billy in, which was awful to see. And then his girlfriend or his wife was like running along the beach, and I was just like, this is awful. Like, she could be dead, you know. It's like full on.
Yeah.
That's what happened to him, but I think he was all right, you know, maybe like unconscious or something, and came to quickly, and it was all a blur, Sam.
And then the comp finishes, and then what happened with that girl?
Finished at 4:30. So I think Billy had just been taken away, or Kalar had just been taken away.
Someone else who...
That was the real bad one, yeah. So actually, after Billy, I think it was after Billy Kemper, that happened straight away. He fell off. He wears a gaff helmet to protect his head from hitting the reef, and his helmet came off, and he was like, "Sweet, no worries." And he paddled out, went to duck dive a wave, and then got driven into the reef on his face, and like apparently half of his face was just kind of ripped off, and his lungs were full of sand and water, you know.
Yeah.
So as he was getting carted away, Moana caught like one of the best waves I've ever seen at pipe in general.
And she's like 20 or something.
Boy or girl, you know.
Yeah, she's young,
real young.
A young girl.
Yeah.
So you've got all these guys out there in nature's most powerful entity, just dicing with death. And then, because I've seen the clip, she's paddling to this bomb, takes off, just textbook, so elegant in her approach, and just clean. And then in the background, you can hear the ambulance just chilling.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it might not have been in that order, because it's just, for me, it's a blur. But I think it was roughly around that order.
I mean, I've just never heard this side of Hawaii. Because like I said, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because you know it's gnarly. It's one of them places where, as a surfer or a surf instructor, people will say to you, "Oh, I bet you've been to Hawaii."
Yeah.
And every time I go, "No, I've not been," they're a bit like, "No, why not?" They don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've exactly the same here.
Now
it all sort of like does make sense. It is like a bit of a proving ground.
Yeah.
You know? And like Pipeline is I don't know what for. If you excel out there, I don't know if it means you're the best surfer in the world, but it kind of just shows what sort of beast you are in the sea.
Yeah.
You know, you get some people that are quite timid by it.
Yeah.
And then you get people that come alive out there.
Yeah.
And go for it.
Yeah.
And then some people go out there and don't even make it back.
Yeah.
It's just like Nathan Fletcher calls it the master vortex, because it is. It's like this one tiny area where this wave breaks, and all these people from all over the world come there. No one talks to each other. They're just there trying to get these mental waves. Kelly Slater, Talo Ferrero, Gabriel, everyone just there.
Are you sucked into the vortex? You just said you're going to want to go back out there.
I was in there, yeah. I was in amongst it, trying my hardest, but it was just so busy. And like, for me, I had the wrong boards really.
What boards did you take out there? I was going to ask you.
I had a 6.6, which is quite a good board for it really, and then a 6.1 for small waves, and then a 7.3, which was too big for like first reef pipeline. Don't really fit in the wave, but it's just so comfy to paddle. So I'd always end up out there on it.
Yeah.
But I liked pipe when it was breaking on the second reef, or like in between the first reef and the second, you get a nice vertical takeoff, and you can. It's just comfier, but it's just so busy, you know.
Yeah. Could roll into it a bit easier, hey?
And it's well exhilarating because take off and then you aim up for that bowl to get barreled. It's so exciting.
What's it like in the lineup? Being in a busy lineup, I mean, it looks like loads of ants. You know, if the wave isn't enough to deal with when it's hitting that first reef, you've got 100 guys out there, aggressive, quite aggro. Did you have any situation?
Nah, not really. Nothing. I just kept my head down and just tried to get waves, you know. And I just thought if someone says something, then I'll apologise or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm respectful, you know. Like as you know, like I do get carried away sometimes, get a bit excited, and if someone wants to say something, they can, and I'll put my hand up and say, you know, sorry, I'll hold back.
Yeah.
But I was never like, I'm just. And it's more for you at the end of the day anyway, because the way to do it out there is to wait patiently for a proper wave.
Yeah.
The waves, I found that the waves come in lines. There could be 5 people sat in a row and the set will come in, but the line of entry will be just for one of those guys.
Yeah.
A little line will just push you in perfectly, but it doesn't work for everyone. So it's just like, I was getting all antsy trying to get the little inside slabs and just getting worked over and over again. But the good people out there, they just sit and wait for the line to come to them. And
wait for that connection.
Yeah.
Rather than force it.
Yeah. I waited for that connection on the first day and got it. You know, it wasn't an amazing wave, but I made the drop and it spat and it was a lovely view and everything. But then after that, I got too excited and was just getting smoked over and over again. It's like, what is happening?
I guess anyone that surfs can relate to that.
Yeah.
Those sessions when you're just in tune.
Yeah.
And you can't force it, can you?
Nah.
I find sometimes if I'm having a really crap surf, a bit like what you were saying earlier, I'll just chill out, count to 10, just take some deep breaths, and then start again and try and find it. Obviously, you can't really force it. You just got to hope that it comes to you getting that rhythm.
That's it.
So there's all this going on. And I remember one conversation we had, you said, I just want to get out of this alive.
Yeah. After I got injured out there, I hit my head, and someone came and said, I can't remember their name, but they've just fallen off and tweaked their neck and they can't feel their limbs or something, you know? And I think it was then we all looked at each other and we were just like, fuck, like, it'll just be good when we get to the airport.
Yeah.
In one piece.
Now then, you did submit an entry. It looks like you took off on the second reef and just pulled into a big barrel, which kind of looked makeable, but when it pinched, it didn't look like it was going to let you out. Or, you know, they say if a wave spits, it means you could have come out.
Yeah.
Tell us about that wave, Seb.
It was just after the contest, the backdoor shootout. Me and Adrian sort of done it the sneaky way, really. We walked on the beach. I didn't want to. I was just like, no, I want to paddle out. But it's like, nah, trust me. So we walked all the way down to Log Cabins, which is this beach quite far down. And halfway, I was like, fuck, I don't think I should even be surfing. I was so tired. The beach is on a big slant, and I was just like sweating, just walking to this beach. Just Adrian was way ahead of me, just like bounding along the beach, like all stoked and full of energy. And I was like, oh, this is nuts. And I'd look out to sea and just see these huge waves, just like. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I paddled out at Log Cabins. We paddled across, and it was me, Adrian, and this Japanese guy. I can't remember his name, but he rips. He's a legend. He's like a legendary Japanese surfer. He used to ride for Quicksilver. Can't believe I've forgotten his name. He's a bit older now. But we're all sat there. Me, Adrian, this Japanese guy. There's 3 of us.
Sat where?
Way out back. Yeah, way out back.
Deep.
Real deep, because they're doing the contest.
Oh shit!
20 minutes.
I'm with you now.
Yeah.
You want to? Yes, you're out there.
So we're out there, but we can't get too close.
Yeah.
You know, like they're doing the comp.
Yeah.
I remember it was Noah Dean, Balaram Stack, and 2 or 3 other people, seriously good surfers, and we just sort of watching, you know, and they were waiting for their stuff to finish. We were waiting for us. It was starting, you know, and we was out there, and I was just sort of looking around, and this guy was just there like that, sort of like meditating. I looked at Adrian, he was just sort of getting into the zone, and I was just like, fucking, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do? And then
What do you do? I don't know.
I was just like, this is nuts. Should I get a wave or what?
I love it.
He's like that, yeah, just fully just getting into the zone. Don't know what he's doing, but it looked like it was working. But then this massive set came and broke on the second reef, and I was like, fuck. And I paddled and duck dived, and it sort of wasted all of us. And then the contest finished, and me, Adrian, and this other guy were the first out there. And as we paddled over into position,
the contest area kind of thing.
In the contest area, there was about 40 people
doing the same thing that were on the other side.
Yeah. So it suddenly was becoming this fucking battle. And I was like, wow,
no,
this is just crazy.
Paddling for the peak.
And instantly I just let go, and I was like, whatever, you know, I'm out here, I'm roughly in priority, so I'm not going to let that stress me out. I'm just going to enjoy it. And out of nowhere, this perfect one come in on the second reef, and it started feathering. And I looked, and no one was going for it. Adrian was just looking the complete other direction. I was like, this is a fucking nug. This is a good wave. I'm going for it. So I turned around, paddled, and I just remember it looking so perfect, like looking down the line, and it just looked like it was like coning out, you know. And I was just thinking, like, well, this might be my only opportunity to get a good wave here, so I'm going to do it in style. So I took off, and I got really low, and I just tried to do it all in one line, just sort of come off the bottom, stand in the barrel, and get blown out. That was my vision. And it all went to plan until I was sort of in the barrel, and it was so big. I came off the bottom, and I stood there, and I saw like a load of camera photographers. So I stood up tall, like vanity got the better of me. And then I sort of bent down again, and I travelled along through this barrel, and I felt the whole thing just suck in and breathe. And I knew it was just about to spit me out. But then the real heavy part of the lip came over and exploded. And it exploded so hard that it sort of knocked me up into the top of the wave. And as it done that, the wave spat. So it was a combo of the two. And it just obliterated me. So hard, I don't even remember what happened. It was just like every atom of my body was just like vaporized.
Yeah.
And then next minute, before I knew it, I just felt like I was in a waterfall like that, going backwards. And I was like, shit, I'm getting sucked over. So I kind of tried to roll away from my neck or whatever. And the first impact on the reef was my ankle, just like bang. And then my head.
Yeah.
Just full headbutt the reef, and it's like flash. And it took me back to being at school. I remember trying to skid on gravel, and the gravel stuck, and I fell forward and headbutted the wall. And it was like, it wasn't a concussive like crunch, it was just a knock.
Yeah.
So straight away I was like, right, it's one of those.
Yeah.
This isn't bad. This isn't like unconsciousness. So I was like, right, my head's all right. My ankle, fuck knows. And then suddenly my elbow. And then I came up, and I was just like, right, I'm sweet. I turn around and I look, and there's just a huge set. Yeah. And I see this guy take off and like pin drop and get smoked. And I was like, whoa. And then I went under it and rolled along the reef again, but not badly. Just like dunk, dunk, dunk. And I came up like not angry, but just like revved up. I was just like, I want to get back out there and do it and make it.
Yeah.
And the lifeguard was just straight there, and he's just like, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." He's like, "You've cut your head, you're bleeding."
On a jet ski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instantly, right there.
And he said, "You've cut your head, you're bleeding." What did you say?
I felt like he knew I'd hit my head before I'd even hit my head. You know, he's like, they're just that tapped into it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, I have, but I'm good. It's all right. I think I said I do a bit of boxing. I do a bit of boxing. I know I'm good. Trust me, I'm
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get back out there.
Yeah.
And I thought he wasn't going to let me out, like go back out. I
Yeah.
was like, that would be embarrassing if he done, but he was cool with it. He was like, all
Yeah.
right. So I paddled back out.
Yeah.
And
Did you have blood coming down your face?
yeah,
That would have been why, wouldn't it?
yeah,
Lifeguard's duty of care. If he had seen, well, he's cracked his head. So
totally.
I actually think you got off lightly there. He
I
could
did.
probably see you was coherent and had the ability to paddle.
If I was a lifeguard, I'd probably have been like, nah, mate, you go
I know.
in.
He might have seen that look in your eye.
Yeah,
And he might have thought, fuck, he's quite a big dude and he boxes.
maybe, yeah.
Give him the benefit of doubt for this one.
It was we had a bit of a connection, you know. We had a chat. It was
Yeah.
only for a second or two, but
Yeah.
we had a chat, you
Yeah.
know, and he got it.
Yeah.
And he he let me go, and he probably just thought, well, fuck you then, you nutter, you know, like, you go for it, you do whatever you want to do. But no, he was cool, he was all right. And I paddled out, and I went up to this photographer, the first thing I did, and I was like, did you get that wave? And there's blood coming down, and all of them were sort of laughing, a couple of them took photos. And I told him my name and that, and I was like, yeah, that was a sick wave. And I was like, right, I'm going to go back out. And I paddled out there, and I did sort of snake a few people, but I didn't care. I just wanted to make one of these waves.
Yeah.
And a set came in, and it was like an in-between set, and it just came straight to me perfectly.
What was you thinking at that moment?
I was just like, this is it.
I'm connected.
Yeah,
I've got that connection now.
I was like, I'm going to make it, you know?
Yeah.
With blood all over my face. It's
Yeah.
epic. Like,
This is it.
And it was like the first one, but a little bit smaller, but with better shape. So
Yeah.
I knew I would have at least got spat out of a little barrel, you know?
Yeah.
And I turned around, I paddled, and I totally committed to it. And the steepness of the wave was good. Everything was looking good. And I assume he is a local, but this guy, he had a sort of round-nosed board. Very fit-looking guy. He looked like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He just looked at me like that and just fucking went. Just burnt me. And I just pulled back. There's no point in going. And in a split second, I thought, well, I did paddle around him.
Yeah.
So fuck it, you know.
Yeah.
But I was gutted because I was like, that could have been it, you know. I could have got that wave and just got out.
You see, I admire your surf etiquette there. I mean, if you hadn't held back, there's a possibility he might have, you know, he
would have gone
commitment, you know, that he was going anyway.
Yeah.
But this is why when I watched Jamie O'Brien's point of view clips at Pipe, he just paddles past everyone.
Yeah.
You're like, hey guys, and you just pop snake to us. That's kind of bad surf etiquette, isn't it?
It is, but the thing is, the North Shore's like here at Sennen. And at Sennen, I snake people, you know.
That's a good point.
Because it's such a small place and we're locals.
Yeah.
We live here.
Jamie O'Brien and Nathan Florence aren't just going to sit wide and work their way in down a pecking order. They're going to go straight out there because they're the local boys. Hey.
Yeah, it's such a tiny place. They grew up there. So
yeah.
They're fucking there, you know, and it's their spot and that's it. End of. Like, I appreciate that. But this guy, you know, I did paddle around him. He paddled out like everyone else, all fucking 50 of them.
Yeah.
And he got his spot, you know?
Yeah.
And I got that bomb to begin with.
Yeah.
And then came straight back out. And he was probably like, nah, fuck you, you know? Like, I've been waiting here for this.
Yeah.
So I was over it straight away. It was fair enough.
Yeah.
But still, I was gutted. I was like, fuck. And then I waited for ages for another one and it just never came. And then my ankle seized up badly, like just went fully, it felt broken. And there's this guy, Cam Richards, who I'd met there on the trip, and I went up to him and I was like, how's my head looking? And he's like, yeah, you hit it. I said, yeah, my ankle's seizing up. And he said, mate, just call the jet ski, you know?
Yeah.
Just go in and chill. So I waved him over and they zoomed me into the beach and the head guard come up to me and he just started pissing himself straight away. He's like, it's you from yesterday with that Russian girl. And I was like, oh yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah. He's like, mate, she's made our lives hell. And we just started cracking up.
Oh, classic.
And then he's like, anyway, how's your head? And he looked at my head, looks at my eyes and everything. And
yeah,
we were like checking my spine and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, my head's good. It's just my ankle.
Yeah.
You know? And they took me on the quad bike to the house.
Respect lifeguards North Shore. They got to be some of the best in the world, Seb, hey?
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Dealing what they've got to deal with.
Yeah. And it's cool because they're like, You know, like here, it's all you got all of them wearing helmets and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. There, it's just so chilled. It's just
Yeah.
like quad bike, shorts, t-shirt,
Yeah.
and they just get the job done. It's just
Yeah.
like no bullshit, just bang, and they're
Yeah.
just saving lives all day. It's like,
Yeah. Sure.
but the North Shore's quite old school. You know,
Yeah.
it is quite old school, and the only people really there that are using the sea are surfers.
Yes.
Whereas here, it's like a lot of city
Swimmers.
people in it. You know,
Right.
so
Mum and Dad were saying about, I've heard that, you know, Seb's got blood on him or something. I've seen somewhere that he's got blood on his face. And I was like, shit, what can I tell him? Because if I had said you'd taken off and headbutted the reef,
yeah.
they'd have probably flown out there.
Yeah.
But thank God you landed feet first, hey?
That's
To
it.
absorb some of the impact.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was your head first.
Well, millions of years of instinct. The reason why we break our elbows and hands is to protect our head.
Fuck,
You know.
you'd hope so. I had a wave at Uluwatu, hit the lip, fell backwards and dunked my head first on the reef. Split my head open.
Yeah, that's so unlucky.
Just couldn't, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, dunk.
That's horrible. I went back to earlier, so when I was sat there at the house, I had the ice over my head and everything. That's when someone came and said, "Oh, so and so's just fallen off and he's lost his feeling of his fucking body." And that's when we all looked at each other. Someone looked at me and there's like, "Fuck, you know," and they had a graze or something, you know. And,
Yeah.
And we were just like, "How cool is it?" And we just get to the airport.
Yeah.
Just get out of this place in one piece, because there's
Yeah.
like, you know, you try and sleep at night and there's always like the thought of like breaking your back or something. You just like, your mind just fixates on a story that you've heard where
that's not healthy, is it?
Nah, where someone's like, there's that pro bodyboarder, he took off like small wave and broke his back, and just all of it just fucking hits you at night, and you're just like, oh, this is horrible. And
but you want to go back out there.
You just feel like not going in.
You want to go back out there next year.
Yeah. Well, I have a coffee, and then I'm just like, right, let's have it.
A little bit smarter, a little bit fitter, a little bit sharper.
Absolutely.
What changes would you make mentally and physically if you was to go back out there again?
It's inspired me loads. Flexibility, breathing. I'm going to do a bit of breathing, because I had a long hold down at sunset that was ridiculous, like more than 10 long seconds underwater, where I was just like, I fell off this wave and I was wearing a t-shirt and it wrapped around my head, and I was underwater flipping. I was just like so disorientated. T-shirt was wrapped around my fucking face, couldn't see nothing, just so disorientated. And I thought I was going to drown, and I was like, I'm going to start doing breath work. Yeah, the breath work, flexibility, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to get more springy, you know, more agile.
What changes would you make equipment wise?
Equipment wise, I think just like thinner, longer boards, like more of an old
bladey.
Yeah, more bladey, round tails, pintails.
Yeah.
All my boards were square tails.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked, because no one else in the North Shore had square tails.
No.
So I like that.
I've seen a comment, someone saying like, typical Seb out there on a squash tail at pipe.
Yeah.
But then Jamie O'Brien goes out there on a freaking softboard, you know, brought from a supermarket.
Exactly. You know, like these little groms in Sumatra when we were there in 2009, you know, they were surfing surfboards that were cut in half and mastering it.
Yeah.
And having fun and making it, utilising it in the wave. And these days we're worried about fins and the fucking rake, and it's all got to be perfect. So it's just like, if you've got it and you're connected with it, it will work. But I think maybe, like, you know, the pintail is probably a wise thing out there. Just like,
how do you feel about your surfing career now after that trip? Do you feel driven? Do you feel, what do you think about, you've seen a lot of the industry. You've grown up. I taught you to surf when you learned to walk. You've won British, English titles. You've been the contest champion. You've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the British surf industry, the politics behind it.
Yeah.
Now you've niched your own way. It's what I've seen as a big brother. What you've done with Vans has just been is life. I've been living my life through you, watching you. It's just lovely to see. How are you feeling about the industry? What are your thoughts on it from someone who's been and done it all and still doing it, but in a nicer capacity?
Well, it's just like the way you look at it. There's always negatives and positives and stuff, you know. Like I'm just quite blessed to be where I am. I appreciate it. You know, I really appreciate that trip to Hawaii, and it's made me want to take surfing more seriously.
Right.
And I wish I'd gone out there before.
Right.
I wish I'd gone out there way sooner.
Yeah.
I've never been out there because it's like, nah, I'm not gonna. I'll go somewhere easier and cheaper and nicer, you know.
Yeah.
But I wish I'd gone out there before. But the thing is like after coming back from there, I feel inside my soul that I don't know. I've got a few more things I want to do and prove
Yeah.
and show. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like I haven't reached my full capacity, and that side of it is
Yeah.
what's missing. I've done all the small wave stuff, and I've kind of getting bored of that and that whole scene, and I just quite like the bigger, more intense stuff. It's more real.
Yeah.
It's way more real, and it's like there's no time for bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. There's no
Yeah.
time for any of that, and
Yeah.
there's no time for anyone to like rip you off or try and get involved. You know, like doing the surf comps in England when I was young, it was just like some of it was just a joke.
Yeah.
But because the waves were like a foot, people could afford to come in and get involved and stick their nose in and fuck around with the scores and the politics and stuff.
Yeah.
But when the waves are bigger and it's more real, there's just no time for any of that.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like more spiritual and more the stuff that you dream of when you're young. You're like,
Yeah.
this is what it was about, you know.
Yeah.
And then
I hear you.
and that's when for me the whole Hawaii thing was sort of making sense. I was like, this is it. This is like the place. I get it now, you know. Like, so it's inspired me. You know, I really want to drill it the next 5 years. I want to just go for it and just see what happens and
Yeah.
enjoy it
Yeah.
and stay positive, keep my side of the street clean and just go for it really.
Yeah.
Stay safe, obviously. And like you said, I've come here to this point where I am my way, you know, I've got here my way. So I just feel like I've got here like organically my way and I can kind of navigate how I want to do it now. But yeah, it's it's one of those, you know what I mean? But there's been like good things, you know, like the surf solutions with Joel and everything, and that's
Mate, I've seen there are some good. It's not all bad, but
It's-
fuck, I've seen it. I've seen people. I think the whole industry now, you know, it's a lot of it's so superficial.
it is,
Isn't it?
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Followers and publicity,
It's mental, yeah.
blue ticks.
It does. It fucks with your head a little bit, doesn't it? It's weird. It's all strange. And the thing is, the sad thing is that when you're genuinely having fun and you genuinely don't care about any of that, that's when it all comes. You know, like when you're just really, really, really enjoying what you're doing. That's when you'll start getting the emails of people wanting to do interviews and people wanting to do this and that. But when you start getting all wrapped up in that bollocks where you're like, oh, I want to do this and the followers, and you start trying to get it,
force it.
People are just like, nah, it doesn't happen. You know, it all comes from having fun. You start shining, you know, and when you start shining, that's when it all gets attracted to you. And the only way for that to happen is to be positive and enjoy what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like it's like you with boxing. When you were just having fun and you were just winning so much and just cruising, just knocking them down, just loving it. Things were happening. You
Absolutely.
know?
And then it gets all a bit complicated. What about this? What about that?
Yeah.
How can you be fully in your zone when you've got all these extrinsic elements going on around you?
Yeah.
Hey,
I think you need help. I think you need, you know, that's where people get managers and stuff or whatever.
Probably more so than ever now, people need therapy, yeah?
Yeah, therapy or what's it, an agent and shit like that.
Yeah.
A counsellor, an agent, everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot for the human mind to take in, Seb.
Yeah, because it's insane and it's all getting bigger as well now.
I wish
technology
social media was banned.
Yeah.
I just wish social media would just end it. You got people with millions of followers that that have such a big influence. They're like their own media
Yeah,
outlets
yeah.
to millions, and it's kind of unhealthy in that.
It's pretty
Can
gnarly,
be.
isn't it? Yeah.
And although there's positives from it, there's that, and that's why we're seeing a lot of
A lot of psychos talking weird shit. Like people followers, like mad mash-up in it of all sorts
Yeah.
of chaos.
That was really nice what you said at the end there. So I wanted to talk about the stuff in Hawaii, the way where you was going to pray, where I said just start praying, but you might want to save that for Carv.
Yeah, there's bits I'm saving for the interview with Carv, but no praying. I wasn't praying or anything like that. Don't
Remember I said to you, I was like,
yeah, when you said
you was
that,
talking to me, yeah, saying this, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, he's lost his face. Seb's banged his head, done his ankle in. Billy Kemper's been washed off. I actually said to Seb, I said, well, mate, you just need to start praying to fucking the Tiki God, Huey. Just get down there, meditate, and pray, like you're saying about that fella out there doing that. I can see why.
Yeah,
because the ocean's very spiritual.
Yeah, when you said that, I got it.
Yeah,
I knew exactly what you were saying. I did. I went and sat down and was like drawing up the surroundings, and just trying to connect. But fuck yeah,
you said you got pretty ill at the end. Last couple of days, you kind of had a moment. What happened?
Really ill, yeah. It was like, I think I was just exhausted. I was like getting well scared. I thought it was like terminally ill or something. Like it was like, I think, fourth or fifth day of being that tired.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even walk, and I was just like, I was talking to people, and I was like, "Look, is this normal? I've been feeling like this for like 5 days now," and everyone was just like, "Yeah, dude, for sure." And I'm like, "No, seriously, like something's wrong." Like, and then someone come up to me, and there's like, "It's Hawaii, mate. It fucking sucks the energy when it's like when the waves are big and all these people here and all this other stuff. It's full on, And then that made sense. And then I spoke to Nate Fletcher after he done the
Eddie,
yeah, and he just come on his own to the house, and he lay there, and he was just like, fuck, zapped, and it does that. It's surprising how much energy is taken from you that isn't like physical,
Your brain, 10% calories, brain.
Yeah, you get it with fights, but it's just, I think with fights, with boxing, it's like, it's almost so intense that it's kind of like a given, like, yeah, but with surfing, it kind of secretly comes out in different ways.
Yeah.
And you're just left like, how did that energy go? Like, what?
I find that in life. Just in normal, you have a normal day and you don't realise what you're doing to yourself.
Totally.
At the end of the day, you're exhausted, and sometimes you don't know why.
Yeah.
It might take somebody else to say it. Well, you've done this, well, you've done that.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I was waiting for. Someone else to fucking diagnose me.
Yeah. What is it? Your agent, your therapist, psychotherapist.
Yeah, I was like, where's the therapist?
Life's tough on our own, isn't it, mate? That's why we need good women.
I'm the personal trainer. No, where's the therapist? But yeah, it was like, I think Harry Bryant, I was chatting to him, and he was just like, he was the first one to say, is that I've got nothing left in the tank. And I was like, right, that mate.
Did he say that? I've got to say, I'm done.
Yeah.
He knows his shit.
I was like, that makes me feel better. Yeah. And then someone else said something. And I was just like, right.
You wasn't ill after all. You just completely.
But I seriously felt, like really fucking ill. Like
wow.
Weirdly ill.
And anybody who's watching this,
strange,
after what we've spoken about, can probably see why now, hey?
Yeah, I think so. But then it like manifested into a cold,
Yeah.
and a sore throat and mouth ulcers, and then like, you get you run down.
Yeah.
And all that fucking happens, and then you're like, right, that's it, run down. But yeah, I was ill for a minute there.
Is there anything you want to add? Because we've covered everything. No. We've covered everything I wanted to cover. Is there anything you want to add to being out there?
Not really. I'd like to thank, the lifeguards of the North Shore, the locals, Hawaii, the Hawaiian people, for letting people like me come and surf, and paddle around people and all that sort of stuff, and get a little bit overexcited. But I appreciate it. I had a wicked time out there. And I'm looking forward to your podcast. This is
Yeah.
the first of many. So
Thank you
Sam's
for
going to be doing this. It's going to be cool.
Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll speak to hopefully get some more interesting characters like my brother Seb here with stories to tell. And I do find it interesting. Just you have guys what they do, but it's nice to get just a little bit more of how they're feeling. Not what they're doing, but actually, the mental side of it as well. Seb, we're proud of you, mate. Very well done. And
at the end of
best
the
wishes.
morning news where the camera pans out and they start getting their things together and the music plays, that's what you should do, isn't it? They start pretending to talk and laugh at coffees and that.
Oh, I love it, man.